Welcome to Shadowlands Ghosts, a place where the veil between reality and the unknown is at its thinnest. I'm your host, Raven Blackwood, and I'm glad you're joining me on this journey into the heart of darkness. As we sit here in the stillness of the night, surrounded by the familiar comforts of our homes, it's easy to forget that there are forces beyond our understanding that lurk just beyond the edge of town. But I'm here to remind you that the darkness is always closer than you think. In this channel, we'll be exploring the darker corners of human experience, delving into the mysteries that lie at the intersection of horror and the supernatural. And I'm not just talking about ghost stories and campfire tales, although those are certainly part of the fun. No, what we're going to explore here is something much deeper. We're going to look at the ways in which the unknown can creep into our lives, can seep into our minds and souls, and can ultimately consume us. And speaking of consumption, our first story is a perfect example of this. It's called The Midnight Caller, a descent into madness, and it's a tale of a man who receives a mysterious phone call in the dead of night. At first, it seems like a prank, but as the calls continue, he begins to realize that something is very wrong. You'll be hearing this story from the perspective of the lead character himself, and I have to warn you, it's not for the faint of heart. But if you're ready to join me on this journey into the heart of madness, then please subscribe to our channel and join the Shadowlands Ghost family. Together, let's explore the darkness and see where it takes us. I've always been a light sleeper, but it's not every night that I wake up to the sound of ringing. My phone, an old rotary model that I've had since college, sat on my bedside table, its shrill tone piercing the darkness. I groggily reached over to answer it, my mind still foggy from the remnants of sleep. The clock on my wall read 2:47 a.m. I rubbed the sleep from my eyes, wondering who could be calling at such an ungodly hour. As I picked up the receiver, a chill ran down my spine. The line was dead silent, with no static or background noise to speak of. I waited for a moment, expecting someone to say something, but the silence was oppressive. I was about to hang up when I heard a faint whisper, a soft susurration that sent shivers down my spine. "Hello," I said, my voice shaking slightly. The whisper seemed to grow louder, but I couldn't make out what was being said. It sounded like a name, but it was indistinct. I strained my ears, trying to catch the words, but they seemed to fade away into nothingness. Suddenly, the line went dead, and I was left holding a silent receiver. I hung up, feeling a sense of unease wash over me. It was probably just a wrong number, I told myself. But the feeling lingered, a nagging sense that something was off. I lay back in bed, trying to shake off the feeling of unease. It was just a prank call, I thought. But as I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unblinking eyes were trained on me from the shadows. It wasn't until the next night, when the phone rang again, that I realized I was in for a descent into madness. The second call came exactly 24 hours after the first, at 2:47 a.m. I'd been lying awake, expecting it, my senses on high alert. As I picked up the receiver, I steeled myself for another eerie encounter. But this time, there was no whisper. No silence either. Instead, I heard the sound of breathing, slow and deliberate, like someone was savoring the moment. I felt a chill run down my spine as I strained to hear any other sounds. But there was nothing. No background noise, no rustling, no indication of where the caller was or what they wanted. I was about to hang up when I heard a faint scratching, like fingernails on a chalkboard. It was a soft, deliberate sound, and it seemed to be coming from the other end of the line. I tried to speak, to ask who was on the phone, but my voice caught in my throat. The scratching grew louder, more insistent, and I felt a sense of dread creeping over me. I was frozen in place, unable to move or speak. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the scratching stopped. The line went dead, and I was left holding a silent receiver once again. I hung up, my heart pounding in my chest. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. That the calls were more than just prank calls or wrong numbers. That something was watching me, waiting for me to make a move. As I lay back in bed, I couldn't help but wonder if I was losing my mind. Was I really hearing these strange sounds? Or was it just my imagination playing tricks on me? I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew it was something more. The next night, I didn't wait for the phone to ring. I sat up in bed, my eyes fixed on the receiver, waiting for the inevitable. And when it came, at 2:47 a.m., I was ready. Or so I thought. This time, there was no whisper, no breathing, no scratching. Just a voice, low and raspy, that spoke a single word, mine. I felt a jolt of electricity run through my body, and I knew that I was in grave danger. I tried to speak, to ask who was on the phone, but my voice was frozen in my throat. The line went dead, and I was left staring at the receiver, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew then that I had to get to the bottom of the calls. I had to find out who was making them and why. But as I lay back in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was in over my head. That I was playing with forces beyond my control. And as I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't help but wonder what the next call would bring. The darkness closed in around me as I lay in bed, my eyes fixed on the receiver as if it was a ticking time bomb. The voice, low and raspy, echoed in my mind, mine. It was a simple word, yet it sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being claimed, owned by some malevolent force that was watching me from the shadows. As I replayed the calls in my mind, I realized that each one was more deliberate, more calculated than the last. The whisper, the breathing, the scratching, and now the voice. It was a progression of terror, a slow-burning fire that was consuming me from the inside out. I thought back to the first call, the whisper that had sent chills down my spine. I had dismissed it as a prank, but now I knew it was something more. The whisper was a test, a probe to see how I would react. And I had reacted. I had engaged. The second call, the breathing, was an escalation of the first. It was a taunt, a tease, a way of saying, I'm still here, I'm still watching you. And the scratching, oh God, the scratching was a declaration of intent. It was a warning, a sign that whatever was on the other end of the line was not just watching me, but was coming for me. And then the voice. The voice that spoke a single word, mine. It was a claim of ownership, a declaration of dominance. I was no longer just a victim. I was a possession, a plaything for some twisted individual. As I lay in bed, I knew that I had to take action. I couldn't just sit back and wait for the next call. I had to do something, anything, to take back control. But as I thought about it, I realized that I was in over my head. I was playing with forces beyond my control, forces that were dark and malevolent. The phone on my bedside table seemed to loom over me, casting a long shadow across the wall. I knew that it was only a matter of time before the next call came, before the next escalation of terror. And when it did, I would be ready. I would face it head on, no matter how scared I was. But as I lay there, waiting for the inevitable, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was already too late. That whatever was on the other end of the line had already won, had already claimed me as its own. The darkness closed in around me, and I knew that I was trapped in a living nightmare from which I might never awaken. The darkness seemed to thicken around me, a heavy fog that clung to my skin like a damp shroud. I lay there, frozen, as the phone on my bedside table suddenly sprang to life. The shrill ringtone piercing the air like a scream. I knew that this was it, the final confrontation. With a shaking hand, I reached out and picked up the receiver, my heart racing like a jackrabbit in my chest. I brought the phone to my ear, my eyes fixed on the wall, as if I could see something moving, something watching me. "Mine," the voice whispered, the sound like a rusty gate scraping against concrete. I felt a chill run down my spine as the voice seemed to grow louder, more insistent. "You are mine. You have always been mine." I opened my mouth to speak, but my voice caught in my throat like a rag. I tried again, but all that came out was a strangled whisper. "And no," I stammered. "I'm not yours. I'll never be yours." The voice laughed, a cold, mirthless sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Oh, but you are," it whispered. "You have been mine from the moment I first called you. You just didn't know it." I felt a presence in the room with me, a cold, malignant force that seemed to be seeping into my bones like ice water. I knew that I was running out of time, that I had to do something, anything, to break free from this living nightmare. With a surge of adrenaline, I sat up in bed, my eyes scanning the room frantically for some sign of what was happening. And then I saw it, a shadowy figure looming in the corner of the room, its eyes glowing like embers in the dark. I screamed, a loud, raw sound that tore through the night like a siren. I screamed as the figure began to move towards me, its eyes fixed on me with an unspeakable hunger. I screamed as I realized that I was trapped, that I was at the mercy of this malevolent force. The voice in my ear seemed to grow louder, more insistent, the words blurring together into a maddening chant. "Mine, mine, mine, mine." I felt my mind begin to slip, my grip on reality tenuous at best. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, the phone still clutched in my hand. The room was silent, the only sound the soft hum of the phone's dial tone. I stumbled to my feet, my heart still racing with fear. But as I looked around the room, I realized that something was wrong. The furniture was all in place, the curtains were still drawn, but something was off. And then I saw it, a small note on the bedside table, written in red ink. Mine, it read. I stood frozen, the phone still clutched in my hand, as I stared at the note on the bedside table. The dial tone continued to hum, a steady heartbeat that seemed to pulse in time with my own racing heart. I felt a creeping sense of dread as I realized that the voice, the presence, the malevolent force that had seemed to be closing in on me had not been defeated. It had not been vanquished. It had simply waited. I looked around the room again, my eyes scanning every inch of the space, but there was nothing out of place. No signs of struggle, no signs of invasion. Just me, the phone, and the note. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized that I was completely and utterly alone. And yet, I was not alone. I was mine. The voice's words came back to me, echoing in my mind like a mantra. You have been mine from the moment I first called you. You just didn't know it. I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead as I realized that I had been living in a state of denial, refusing to accept the truth. The truth was I had been claimed. I had been marked. I had been made a part of something dark and sinister, something that lurked just beyond the edges of reality. I looked down at the phone in my hand, the dial tone still humming away. I knew that I had to get rid of it, to destroy it, to break the connection. But as I raised my hand to smash it to the ground, I hesitated. What if it was too late? What if I was already a part of it? I lowered my hand, the phone still clutched in my fingers. I knew that I had to try and find a way out, to try and break free from this living nightmare. But as I looked around the room, I realized that I was completely and utterly trapped. I was a pawn in a game I didn't understand. I was a prisoner in a world that was not my own. And I was mine. The darkness closed in around me, a heavy fog that clung to my skin like a damp shroud. I knew that I would never be able to escape, that I would be forever trapped in this world of terror and uncertainty. And as the dial tone continued to hum, I knew that I would never be able to hang up. The call was still coming. The voice was still whispering. And I was still mine. Epilogue, the call continues. I sit in the darkness, the phone still clutched in my hand, the dial tone a constant reminder of the presence that haunts me. It's been years since that fateful night, years since I realized that I was a part of something sinister, something that lurked just beyond the edges of reality. I've tried to move on, to escape the living nightmare that has become my life. I've changed my number, moved to a new city, started a new job. But no matter what I do, the voice always finds me. It's always there, whispering in my ear, reminding me that I am mine. I've tried to ignore it, to tune it out, but it's always there, a constant presence in the back of my mind. I've tried to fight it, to resist its pull, but it's always one step ahead. It knows me. It knows my fears. It knows my deepest desires. I've lost count of the number of times I've tried to destroy the phone, to break the connection. But every time, I hesitate. What if it's too late? What if I'm already a part of it? I've come to realize that I'm not alone in this. There are others out there, others who have received the call, others who are trapped in this living nightmare. I've seen them, fleeting glimpses of people who seem to be living the same life as me. We're all pawns in a game we don't understand, prisoners in a world that's not our own. And the voice is always there, whispering in our ears, reminding us that we are mine. I look down at the phone in my hand, the dial tone still humming away. I know that I'll never be able to escape, that I'll be forever trapped in this world of terror and uncertainty. And as the darkness closes in around me, I know that I'll never be able to hang up. The call is still coming. The voice is still whispering. And I am still mine. But there's something else, something that I've only recently realized. The voice isn't just a voice. It's a doorway to a world that's beyond our own. And I'm not just a pawn in a game. I'm a key to unlocking the secrets of that world. I look down at the phone, the dial tone pulsing with an otherworldly energy. I know that I have a choice to make. I can continue to resist, to fight against the voice and the presence that haunts me. Or I can surrender, to let the voice guide me into the unknown. I take a deep breath, the darkness closing in around me. I know that I'll never be able to go back, that once I step through the doorway, I'll be forever changed. I raise the phone to my ear, the dial tone humming away. I take a deep breath and I answer. Yes. I say, my voice barely above a whisper. The voice responds, its tone low and menacing. Welcome to the other side, it says. You've been waiting for a long time. I smile, a sense of trepidation mixed with excitement. I know that I'm stepping into the unknown, but I'm ready. I'm ready to face whatever horrors await me. The voice laughs, a cold, mirthless sound. You have no idea what's coming, it says. But you'll find out soon enough. I smile again, the darkness closing in around me. I know that I'm mine, but I'm ready to see where the voice will take me. I'm ready to face the horrors that await me. And as the voice continues to whisper in my ear, I know that I'll never be able to hang up. The call is still coming, and I'm ready to answer. Wow, what an incredible journey we've been on together. I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for watching and being a part of this experience. Your engagement, your comments, and your support mean the world to me, and I'm so glad that we could share this thrilling ride together. As we conclude this episode, I want to remind you that there's always more to explore, more mysteries to unravel, and more terrors to face. And I'm not just talking about the voice on the phone. I'm talking about the world of horror, suspense, and intrigue that we've created together. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling content. We have a wealth of stories, videos, and experiences that will keep you on the edge of your seat and leave you wanting more. From psychological thrillers to supernatural mysteries, we've got it all. By subscribing to our channel, you'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a community of like-minded individuals who share your passion for horror and suspense. You'll also be supporting our mission to create high-quality content that pushes the boundaries of storytelling and leaves you breathless. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join our community of thrill seekers. Let's explore the unknown together and uncover the secrets that lie within. Don't miss out on our future episodes, and get ready to experience the fear, the suspense, and the excitement that only our channel can provide. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Don't hang up just yet. The call is still coming.